Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 40 of the Anime Banter podcast with your hosts, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, Turtle. Happy New Year to you. I understand, when the episode comes out here, we're going to be a couple weeks in, but, Happy New Year anyway.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Haven't really had a chance to talk.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you both. Turtle, I know you and I got to hang out a little bit on New Year's Eve. For you listeners, this is the first episode we are recording since the holidays. It was nice. We took a nice little holiday break, enjoyed time with family and friends. So, hope you all are ready to join us again in 2024.
Welcome back, everybody.
And do we have a great anime to start the new year off with, too?
Oh my goodness, yes. If you watched our year-end review, I mentioned the show a couple times, and we agreed to tackle it here. So I'm very excited to get back into the show.
I was gonna say I think after we recorded that episode and how well you sold it, it really showed. Like, I think Sean and I were like, "All right, we should watch this to start the new year."
Yeah, and not just Turtle. I did like Turtle's glowing review, but at the same time, I've been seeing it everywhere, like Anime News Network. It's always in like the top to watch shows on Crunchyroll. There's so many places that I go that I'm seeing this show pop up memes, like anime meme sites. You know what I mean? Like you follow someone who posts anime memes all the time on Instagram or whatever, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many memes about this show. Like I need to see it.
I don't really follow memes, so now I'm kind of interested to check some out to see what they are.
Well, don't hit our Instagram.
And you don't really follow social media to begin with, though, Turtle.
I don't. I have no social media presence. I'm not a fan. I run my YouTube channel. Shameless plug, RPG Treasure Trove. But outside of that, I don't really do anything multimedia wise.
Yeah, our Instagram page. I've liked a bunch of meme pages, but I've also had to unfollow a few meme pages because they post some content that's a little too spicy for what I am okay with, like if I pull up Instagram at work. So
Yeah.
yeah, so just be careful when you pull up the Anime Banter Instagram. Like don't do it at work.
Just in case.
Just in case Turtle wants us to post anything spicy.
Woo.
Yeah,
I
should
don't do
we
spicy. It doesn't fit with my reflux.
yeah. Dear listeners, should we become a spicy podcast? Should we be reviewing adult series instead of regular anime?
Whoa. I mean, I feel like there's really not much to review there. It's like, oh, there's boobs. Yay. Like what else? What else are we talking about with that?
Yeah, I don't think we could do a deep dive on the plot like we do here.
Yeah. There typically isn't plot.
I mean, there is. You just gotta. It's just not very good.
It's just a different kind of plot.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But this show has some great plot. So with that said, why don't we jump in? You guys ready?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Today we are talking about episodes 1 and 2 of Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. For those who might not know what Frieren, Beyond Journey's End is about, here is the synopsis. After the party of heroes defeated the Demon King, they restored peace to the land and returned to lives of solitude. Generations pass, and the elven mage Frieren comes face to face with humanity's mortality. She takes on a new apprentice and promises to fulfill old friends' dying wishes. Can an elven mind make peace with the nature of life and death? Frieren embarks on her quest to find out. Frieren Beyond Journey's End can be viewed on Crunchyroll. Episode 1. Right off the bat, we get the opening song, the first thing we see. I freaking love this song. It's so good.
I
The
do want to
opening,
interject real
yeah,
quickly, Taro. I think in the modern day and age of anime, I feel like a thing that a lot of shows have been doing is they roll through an episode and then they play like the opening credits at the end of the first episode,
yes.
and they don't do it here. And I was almost stunned that they played the like the opening credits at the opening of the show before like giving us any prologue or anything. I was cool with it.
Absolutely. And I think they knew that like this song is just so good, they had to just start the episode with the song.
Makes sense.
So the opening theme is called Yusha, by the band Sobi. I don't know if I said that right. I don't speak Japanese. I am sorry. Yeah, good God, this song just fucking slaps. It's like part hip hop, part rock, and a splash of like folk sounds and instruments to give it a real like fantasy vibe, which is perfect for the show. This is like one of my favorite songs now. Honestly, I think it's like a true masterpiece, and the animation is just so good. It's almost different styles like working together, and there's just such vibrant color throughout the whole thing. The first time I saw this opening, I knew the show was going to be something special. The episode begins with a map and the words, "At the northmost end of the continent, I arrived at the place that the people of this world call heaven, Ariole." I don't know if I said that right either. The land where souls rest. Many souls gather there, and I spoke with friends who once fought alongside me. Flam, the legendary mage. We meet our four party members on the way back to the capital after slaying the demon lord. I love these character designs. We meet Himmel, who is a blue haired human, and they call him the hero.
I do want to say for Himmel, I love that this man does look like if we were watching another anime, this guy would easily be the main character. You know, your blue-haired anime protagonist, like every other anime in a fantasy world. You know what I'm saying?
Or like every other Fire Emblem game.
I was
Yeah,
I was about to say he was the main character for a Fire Emblem game.
yeah.
That was exactly where my mind went.
They
The
could
blue
darken
hair,
his hair a
man.
little bit though. But still, in any other form of Japanese media, the blue-haired hero would be the main character. We'd follow him the whole story.
Yep, absolutely. We also meet Eisen, all beard, all the time.
I lost it when I saw Eisen. I'm like, he's just beard. He's just all beard.
It's fantastic.
And when he talks, the beard doesn't even move when he talks. They just show like it's like a still image in like sounds.
It's incredible. I love this guy. He's their warrior. We meet Heiter the priest, and of course, Frieren the mage.
I will say to start the episode, I was really digging the colors of the world. It was just very vibrant. And like I said, I love the beard. I love Eisen. Like, we need more Eisen. But the one question I had going into this, like after we meet this party and the returning, was are we gonna like what type of flashbacks are we gonna get? Because it's like there's no like prequel series to this, as far as I know, right, Turtle?
As far as I know, no. Which most of these types of, isekai, or in this case, it's not an isekai, it's just a fantasy. Um, in most stories like this, it's about actually defeating the demon lord. Where this one really sticks out was that job is already done. Now what? So that's another interesting point to me to watch the show. Like, huh, that's different. What are they going to write the show about?
And I want to know, like, are we gonna see them ever fight the Demon King in a flashback, or are we just gonna get like brief glimpses of like their time? Like, are we like because you introduce these characters, and as we see, like Frieren gets older, and obviously the other characters don't have as long of a lifespan as we see. So it's like, how much of these characters do we get, and how much of these new characters do we get? Like, where's the balancing point?
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. To be fully transparent to our listeners, I have seen, at least as of this recording, I am caught up to where the episodes have been released in English, which is like episode 14. So I have seen this stuff already, but it was such a treat to go back and watch it again. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, so I'm not gonna answer questions that you have, but please pose them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Usually we have a rule here, right, at the Anime Banter podcast that we don't really watch ahead. If you do, it's usually just like one or two episodes. For reasons like you don't, by the time we record again, you won't have enough time to watch the episodes, things like that. But yeah, we have to kind of break that rule a little bit for Total since we started while he's fully caught up on the subtitled version.
I've been watching week to week, and I don't want to miss it.
Wait, Turtle, you watching the sub or the dub?
I'm watching the dub.
Oh, okay, okay. I wasn't sure if we wanted to compare notes or anything, but I'm also watching the dub.
Okay. Yeah, I am a filthy casual. I prefer the dub. It's just easier in my native tongue.
I'm too old to be hardcore about such things. Just give me the dub.
You're right.
Like, no reason to pretend.
I've mentioned I think I was talking to somebody about this not too long ago. We are in an age of anime where we have actual actors to portray these characters, where, back in the day, some of the, English translation voice work was not the greatest. But we're in a great age where we have actual actors being paid to act and bring these characters to life in English. And a lot of times, even the anime company and that will be involved in, like, okay, let's make sure we get this, character portrayal done right in other languages. So we're in a great age for dubbing. So I don't hate on dubs.
Agreed. Yeah, I was gonna do a few thoughts. Number one, we start after the action, and I love that. Based on now that I've watched 2 episodes, it seems like they're going to do a lot of storytelling via flashback. So I think the series seems like it's gonna be Frieren retracing the steps that she took with her teammates, and us like getting little anecdotes of their adventures as we go. And I think that at the end here, she almost seems like she's like, I don't know anything about these people, you know. Like, she almost makes it seem like they're not really her friends, like at the funeral in some cases, but then and then she's like, no, they're definitely my friends, and I regret not getting to know them. So well, I think we're definitely going to go. She's going to be very retrospective and think back on things. And I think maybe she's going to realize she knew them a little better than she thought she did. Um, at the same time, I'm very excited about the soundtrack. Everything I've heard so far is really, really good. This could be one of the better anime soundtracks that I've heard in a while, if it keeps it up. So I'm very happy about that. Um, oh, I do want to give a shout out. I don't remember who the voice actress is for Frieren. Yeah, let me look that up here.
Off the top of my head, I don't know either. I know I've heard her voice before in other things.
Mallory Rodak. I don't know what else she has done. However, I want to point out that I'm very happy that they chose like an adult woman using an adult woman voice for Free Run instead of trying to make her like like the fake high pitched squeaky thing that some of the voice actresses do, right?
Yeah.
They just had a normal woman talk normally, and it makes Free Run not sound like I don't know, like a comedic lowly character like they do in some things. She sounds like an educated woman who has seen things in life. And I'm like, what a great directing choice to give her like the voice of a woman instead of a squeaky little girl. Love it.
So Himmel comments that since Frieren is an elf, she will have a much longer life than anyone else in the party. So while celebrating in the capital, Frieren mentions that the king only gave them 10 coins to start their adventure. And Heiter says that they are even now since they get to drink for free. Frieren calls Heiter a corrupt priest, to which Heiter responds by laughing, which just makes me laugh.
He doesn't deny it.
I love how Frieren just keeps calling out Hyder for being a corrupt priest.
It's so good.
There were some great running gags in these 2 episodes.
Absolutely. I mean, with this small exchange alone, I love these characters. Like I want to go on an adventure with them. So the four are remembering their 10-year journey together, and Hyder recalls the day that they left on their journey. Himmel and Eisen were almost executed for disrespecting the king. And Himmel recalls Hyder being so hungover on one of their adventures that he was completely useless. And Frieren responds that she was perfect in every way, which prompts Eisen to recall the time that Frieren was caught by a mimic. This made me laugh so hard. This is one of the running gags. They actually show it in the opening sequence where she's being eaten by a mimic, and then it happens in this flashback. And I hope this is a running gag because this is just great.
Yeah, the mimic thing really cracks me up. I really love that. I really love that she. I don't know. It's just gonna become um, a running gag, I think. And I'm thinking about how she's going on an adventure with her friends. She's like doing a retrospective, and she's gonna go on like retrace some of her steps. I have a funny feeling she's going to recruit more party members, and while she's trying to figure out her old friends, she's going to accidentally make a bunch of new friends along the way. And I absolutely love this.
I just love in the flashback, they just show the guys just standing there discussing about leaving her as her feet are just flailing about. It's just a really funny scene.
I love the mimic. I was so excited at the fact that we got a mimic, and it's like yes, I and then the fact that we get it so much more in these episodes, I was like yes, this is great.
So we see the group watching a meteor shower, and Frieren promises to take everyone to a better spot for the next shower in 50 years. That's a really long time.
So two things: when they first were in town and they were like those fireworks were being shot off, like almost like retelling their story with the chapter 6. Those were some Disney level fireworks right there.
Yeah, they were.
And then two, I was totally expecting the next scene to just be a 50-year time jump.
That that blew me away when they're like 50 years later,
It's
like the
the
SpongeBob narrator.
the SpongeBob, the French 50
50
years
years
later.
later. Yeah.
It's so good. So Frieren then leaves town on her journey, and we get a 50-year montage.
Montage!
Oh, I need a montage.
I love the amount of montages we get in this show.
I like it actually. Some people might not like montages. I like that they give us a quick synopsis of what happens over 50 years.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're trying to focus on characters, it looks like, on this show. And I think that's definitely where the strength of the writing is the characters. So like they're going to show you quick snippets of what you need to know and then move on to the important stuff. So their use of montage in the show is absolutely incredible. So after the montage, Frieren goes back to the capital and finds Old Man Himmel.
Can we talk real quick about how whenever Frieren walked back into town, that kid just fucking manhandled that duck? like, like there are some things in this town that I just see that like I lose it at. It's like this kid just like ran up behind this duck and just fucking like bear hugged it. It's like that's a duck. Like I was waiting for the duck to bite it, and it's like ah, la 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 la. And then earlier, like when they were doing the parade to welcome them back from the journey, there were two people dancing in the background that were very poorly animated. Like they didn't have faces or anything, but their dance moves had me cracking up.
I missed that actually.
I kind of want to go back and see that.
I'm gonna have to watch it again. So the two of them meet up with Hyder and Eisen, and they walk for a week to get to the best meteor shower spot. Himmel thanks Frieren for his final adventure, and the four of them watch the meteor shower. They then cut to Himmel's funeral, and this was the first time that this show made me cry.
I will say, how is Himmel the only one who didn't age in those 50 years? Like Hyder and Eisen still look the same. Like Hyder looked a little older, but like poor Himmel like shrank to half his size and was like went bald and everything. Like I honestly thought Himmel was Heisen at first, and then
Because Heisen looked older, right?
yeah,
Like at least in the past.
like Himmel didn't look that old pre Chime Jump.
Unlucky genetics. That's
I
my
guess
guess.
Yeah, that could be. Although he
Oh,
had a rockin' beard and mustache, I'll give him that.
that is true.
Kind of looked like the Monopoly Man.
I do want to mention in that scene where your free Ren is looking for that dark horn, the dragon horn, right?
Yes.
And shows up and he's like, "Oh, I've been keeping it safe." And you look at like the cabinet in the corner of his room. There's just like dark energy exuding from it. And she's like, should you kept that there?" And he's like, "Man, I don't know. It doesn't really matter."
She's like, why didn't you put it in a shed?
Yeah, but for him, it was like you know, it was like something to remember his friend by. It was a memento. Uh, so like for him, it was like very important to him. Even though, yeah, maybe that dark energy could have corrupted him, but it didn't, so it's all good.
Yeah, he's the hero. He's fine.
Yeah.
So after the funeral, Frieren asks the others why she didn't get to know Himmel better after only 10 years of knowing him. And as Frieren started to cry, I started to cry again. Damn it! That's twice in one episode. What the hell, show? So the three part ways, and Frieren starts a journey to understand humans better. After 19 minutes, we get our title card. Episode 1, The Journey's End. 20 years after the death of Himmel the hero, on the outskirts of the holy city of Strahl in the Central Lands, Frieren finds a small girl in the woods looking for Heiter. It turns out the girl is named Fern, and she is living with Heiter after she was orphaned. Heiter asks Frieren to take her as an apprentice, but Frieren declines, stating most apprentice mages die in battle.
I want to go back though. Uh, we kind of glossed over really quickly. Himmel's monologue. The meteor shower.
Yeah,
Uh, you know, Watching this, the seed made me tear up a bit. During Himmel's monologue, I contemplated my own mortality as well as the mortality of my friends. When I'm an old man, assuming I make it there, will I still be able to have adventures with my friends? What will become of those in my friend groups? Someday, I will adventure with them for the last time, and probably won't even know it. Curse this show for making me think about these topics. They're going to twist the knife week after week after week, aren't they?
it's possible.
So yeah, sorry. I wanted to I wrote that little part up and I needed to read it because yeah, that part of the show I was like, I'll never recover.
This show has that effect. It was beautiful, Sean. Thank you.
It is crazy to think though, like you always see the memes. One day you were playing at the playground with your friends, and that was the last time you were at that playground with your friends.
It's true. You never know what's going to happen. You have to cherish every day as if it could be your last.
I mean, I'm watching this show Tonikawa Over the Moon for You, and like that show is similar to this one, but in the way they talk about like a husband and wife. And I'm like, why am I watching these shows? Like, one's got me thinking about my wife, the other one has me thinking about my friends. I'm like, gosh dang it, man. And like, I my birthday was last month, so I'm like 1 year older, and I'm like, holy crap, why do I have to think about all this around my birthday? Brutal.
So, since Frieren said no to training Fern, Heiter then asks her if she could decipher an old tome that may teach an immortality spell, and if she could teach Fern what she knows about magic. Frieren says it'll take 5 to 6 years to decipher the tome, and a little bit later after that, Frieren finds Fern practicing magic in the woods and sees her true potential.
I'm gonna really miss Frieren and Hyder, the banter between the two of them, and like Frieren joking about Hyder, his charity in this case, like being actually for charity, and like how he's a corrupt priest, and now that he's not drinking and everything.
Yeah, they have some great banter back and forth.
Yeah, things between Frieren and Hyder actually feel like really natural. Like, I don't know if it's the voice actors or the way it's animated, but or just the way the dialogue's written, but like I get the feeling they've known each other for a long time. And even though I haven't actually seen them adventure together, they do such a good job placing me like these two people have known each other for a long time.
Yeah, like we've known these characters for roughly 20 minutes, you know, and like the writing is just so strong and the English voice acting is so strong that you really feel the emotion when these characters pass when we barely know them. But that is the end of episode 1 and we get our ending credit song. This song is called Anytime Anywhere by Millet. And this is a beautiful song. It too can make you cry, which fits really well with the theming of the episode. So I really like the artwork to the closing song as well. It's almost like a moving mosaic type artwork. It's really cool.
I will say the one thing that I found interesting after the credits played was instead of getting like a preview of the next episode, we got like a bunch of people talking over each other, and that led into the title for the next episode. I just wonder if that's something we're going to get with each episode.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Bum bum bum. I mean,
The
they did it again after episode 2.
answer is yes. Because it's not really a spoiler. Because yes, they do it in episode 2. But yeah, that's their thing. That's how they do their little preview. Instead of a preview, they just well, I mean, it kind of is a preview because if you could hear all the individual things being said, they have context in that episode. but they're overlaid so much you can't really make out what's really happening, and then you get your final sentence that is basically the episode title. It's really cool, actually. I've never seen any show do anything like that before. But enough of all the sadness. We need something to break this up. Go ahead, Mike.
And now it is time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's beer comes to you from Spoonwood Brewing, and it is their Steal Your Leg, a 5.1% cherry sour. This beer had a great red color to it with all the cherries and cherry puree that was in it. This beer was just fantastic. Like, I love this beer. The reason I picked this beer was I went to a D&D one-shot that my friend was putting on. It was Christmas themed. And I was asking, like, oh, what kind of styles does everyone like? And a couple people were like, oh, I really like IPAs. And then a couple people were like, I don't like IPAs. I'm like, and then they were all like, hit or miss on sour. So I'm like, you know what? I haven't had a bad sour from Spoonwood. Let's go with that. They just kicked their winter lager at this point. I'm like, I don't want to do an IPA. So let's do this cherry sour and hope it goes well. So I took a growler of it to the one shot, and everyone loved this beer. Like, they all really enjoyed it. The growler was finished, I think, before we even finished session one, before we finished the first encounter. The D&D one shot was fantastic, by the way. My buddy did a great job with it. He made it. It was all Christmas themed, and we were trying to show that we were like the right people to be Santa's peppermint guard, as he was putting it. And the second encounter was we had to climb the Christmas tree, and he actually took Christmas branches off his tree and used that on the map to like traverse up the tree. It was all really well done. Fantastic one shot. So yeah, play D&D. It's great, but also drink really great beer. I would definitely recommend getting this beer before it's gone at Spoonwood. And if you're in the area, definitely get it. Again, that's the Steal Your Leg. And the average untapped rating is a 3.9, and I give it a 4.
Episode 2. It didn't have to be magic. The episode opens with Frieren fishing and teaching Fern and us about magic. The three important things with magic are the amount of mana utilized, the strength at which it's fired, and the level of control you have over it. It's a simple system, but it makes perfect sense. This is a great case of like not getting too complicated with your magic system for no reason.
I really like the simplicity of this magic system, and I really hope we don't get power creep either later down the road in this season or in future seasons.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty rare any show actually explains how their magic actually works. So, kudos to them for at least a very simple explanation. I imagine Freeren's mana is through the roof, though.
I also like how they didn't have like Frieren just staring at the camera talking to us like this is how magic works, because some shows like to do that. And then we get another montage. Daily life around the house. They have a scene of Heiter like flinging broccoli onto Freeren's plate at dinner, and then it's followed by her getting stuck under some books just like getting eaten by the mimic.
I lost it at that.
I love
It's
how
so good.
clumsy she is. Like she's kind of clumsy, and it's endearing.
It is, especially because she's like this super powerful mage.
Yeah, like it humanizes her, kind of. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So later in the episode, we have Heiter collapsing in the basement where Frieren is working on deciphering the tome, and we get a flashback to Heiter saving Fern's life. And she tells Frieren that it didn't have to be magic. She just wants to learn and excel at something so Heiter can pass in peace, knowing that she will be all right without him. Frieren asks Heiter why she saved Fern, to which he responds, that's what Himmel the hero would have done.
Before we keep moving on, I was not expecting to see a potential child suicide in this show. Like, Fern was just hanging out, ready to jump off that cliff.
Definitely felt really bad because like her whole village was killed, her parents were killed, and it seemed like she was the only survivor. And that's a lot to put on a little kid, you know.
Oh, well, glad. Glad she didn't do it.
Yep. Good job, Heiter.
I also like how Hyder's like, hey, this is what Himmel would have done. And like, I wonder if we'll see more of that as the show continues. Like, the people that partied with was part of his party, like, the effects he had on their lives.
After Heiter passes away, Frieren takes Fern as her apprentice.
Can I just say, I love how Hyder knew exactly what he was doing by keeping Frieren around. It's like, oh, can you translate this tome and can you do this? All the while, Frieren was strengthening Fern, so she had no choice but to accept Fern as her apprentice.
It was really well done.
The writing is just so good.
It plays into the previous episode where Frieren, has known these characters for like 10 years, but she never really got to know them. Where Heiter really understands how Frieren's mind works, and he was able to manipulate her, and she didn't even realize it until right at the end. 26 years after the death of Himmel the hero, in the Turk region located in the Central Lands, the two mages travel the Central Lands performing small services in order to get paid with small and odd magic spells. They clean rust from statues and harvest pumpkins from the fields. They then meet an old lady who asks them to clean a statue of Himmel. Frieren recalls Himmel posing for that statue for 18 hours before deciding on what it should look like.
I love this scene. Like, I love how the reward for the pumpkin work was a spell to produce warm tea.
It's such a silly sounding spell.
It is, but like to me, I would use that because I hate making tea. Like, whenever I get a hot beverage, whether it be tea, coffee, hot chocolate, even soup, like I hate having it right whenever it like is done when it's scalding hot. Like for my tea and coffee, I'll let it sit for like 20 minutes to cool off.
I do the same thing.
That'd be the perfect spell for me. It's like, oh, I could just set this to the temperature I want it so I can drink it immediately.
I do the exact same thing. I would use the shit out of that spell.
And then I really loved the transition from the flashback of Himmel the hero saving the young girl, and then that young girl turning into the old lady asking the magus to clean the statue.
Oh, yeah.
That was a really great transition.
After cleaning the statue, Frieren is very pleased with herself. She's always so stoic, so it's nice to see like her crack a big smile, like she's so proud of herself. Ah, I did it with my cool magic spell. So she decides to cast a spell that will grow flowers, but she wants to grow the flowers from Himmel's hometown. Since she's never seen them before, the quest to grow the blue moon weed begins. And we get another montage. Mike, you must love the show by now.
I'm loving it. It's like, how many montages can we fit in an episode?
There's always room for another montage.
I want to throw it out there that they keep calling it the blue moon weed, and I'm like, is it actually okay to introduce the flower to another area? Because like by calling it a weed, it seems pretty invasive, doesn't it?
That's a good point. I didn't think of it, but that's a really good point.
Now, I don't remember where specifically that happens. It might be around here, but the old lady does mention that the flower or weed used to grow there, but has died off and it's not been seen for like 10 or 20 years or something.
I guess it can't be too invasive if it died off, right?
Right. But yeah, they called it a weed instead of a flower, which is interesting. I don't know.
I don't know if that was like a translation choice or if it actually is just called blue moon weed.
So the two mages search the area for the flower, but they have no luck. We also get some insight into Frieren's personality here. We find her asleep on the floor with her feet still in the bed, and she also doesn't like to wake up early. We then see her stuck in a bush, just like the mimic. I love this bit. I hope it never
it's
goes
the
away.
It's the best thing ever.
So after 6 months of searching, they are no closer to finding this weed. The old lady then gives Fern a bag of seeds that's related to our plant in question. But as she's talking to Frieren, she sets the seeds down on a log, and they're stolen by a seed rat, ironically. And the two mages follow it. Using magic, they can follow the footsteps through the forest. We then get a flashback of Frieren summoning flowers for her party, and Heiter and Eisen are laughing and running through the field, and Frieren's watching them and just goes, gross. It's
That
such a
maybe
great little bit.
it's such a good moment.
We then see Himmel put a flower crown on Frieren's head. It's just a beautiful little scene.
While we are talking about all these flowers, this quest and the flashback and everything, it took me way too long to realize the link between fern and the flower quest. Because ferns are plants that don't grow flowers.
Oh, see, I don't know that much about plants. That's interesting.
I had not given that any thought. Yeah.
Nice catch.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. Also, I want to throw out the Himmel and the flower crown. You know, I'm just throwing out there. I think Himmel was probably sweet on Frieren, and she just never noticed. She's completely oblivious.
I agree on that.
Yeah.
I have a funny feeling that's where it's gonna end up.
Especially because he made some comment whenever he was talking about the plants, like, oh, yeah, my hometown also makes good looking heroes, too.
Oh yeah, and then he said he'd love to show her the flowers as well, right?
Yeah.
Like taking a girl home like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
What to meet his parents? you
Yep.
know?
Also, the flower crown must be pretty important because we see the flower crown at the end of at the end of the opening credits, or is it the end credits? It's one of the credits we keep seeing the flower crown though.
Yeah, they definitely bring that back. So the two mages follow the seed rat's footprints and they find the hideout where that particular one is living. And they also find the flowers that they were looking for at the top of the tower. So, quest complete. They go back to the statue and she's able to cast the spell, and it's just a beautiful scene. Frieren then makes the flower crown with the blue moonweed and puts it on top of Himmel's head on the statue. What a beautiful episode.
This one definitely felt slower than the last one, but last episode I was racking my brain to be like, you know, like this many years after the death of Himmel the hero, this many years after the death of Himmel the hero, and I'm like, wait, how many passed? Wait, was it like I'm like, was it 25 last time or 26? Like what like I was trying to go through that, so I'm like racking my brain, but this episode like slows things down in a good way.
Real heavy focus on character writing this show, and I don't know, something about that. I'm used to watching shows where they kind of like blitz through the story because they have 12 episodes to say what they want to say. And I feel like, especially the shows that are based on like manga and light novels, those sources give the creator time to tell the story. When it's adapted to an anime, a lot of times I feel like they're cutting a lot of stuff out. So they're just blitzing through what they can to fit in 12 episodes. For this show, it's taking its time, it's telling the story the way it wants to, and it's not rushing. And I appreciate that. I don't care how many episodes a show is if it tells the story at its own pace, and I don't feel like I'm missing stuff. So, what did you guys think about these episodes as a whole?
Sean, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, like you, Turtle. So the number one thing that drives me through a series is the characters. I think the most fascinating thing on this earth are humans. If psychology had paid good money in a career, I would have picked that as my major in college and not finance. I can forgive a mediocre story if the characters are very good. And in this show is going to be very character driven, and that's my weakness. So I am going to absolutely love this show, and it's going to make me emotional the whole way through. And I guess I'm just gonna have to deal with it.
I really dug these episodes. They were a little slow at times, um, but I really liked the characters, and I really hope we get more information of the original party. And it seems like each episode will focus on them a little bit, and we'll get some flashbacks. But I wonder how many episodes we really get until we move on to like Frieren, Fern, and any other characters they introduce. The one thing that I wasn't a huge fan of was all of the time jumps that happened so quickly in these two episodes. So I'm really hoping that slows down a little bit because we had the 50-year time jump and then it was 20 years after, like we had the original setting and then we had a 50-year time jump and then we had a 20-year time jump and then we had another 6-year time jump. It just felt like a lot of time jumps to put in two episodes. So I really hope that slows down some. But overall, I did really enjoy these episodes. And it was so hard for me to not just keep watching after episode 2 finished.
Yeah, waiting on this one is going to be painful. I have a feeling when we do our 2024 year end wrap up, we just did our 2023. We're gonna think of 2024, and this is going to win all of my awards for everything.
That's fair. There's a good chance that that's gonna win. This is gonna win for me too. So,
What do you mean? Reborn as a Vending Machine Season 2's coming.
Blah.
We know that's
Sorry.
locked in.
Yeah, sorry, I threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Oxo Waifu of the Year.
Blah.
Hello there.
Please insert coin. Please insert good writing. This show has some of the best animation, some of the best music, and some of the best character writing I have ever seen in anything. I am in love with the show, and without even finishing it, I think I can safely declare that this is one of my favorite animes of all time. And now it is time for the waifu of the week. Sean, who is your waifu of the week and why?
I'm gonna go with Fern. I understand that Fern doesn't play too much role in the first 20 minutes of the series, but I think she's a really interesting character. Like, she is going to drive a lot of the emotion in this show, I think. And I worry that this show is going to have to. So, Frieren, despite living forever, I don't think she's ever like raised a child, and she's kind of the de facto mother of this child, like the adopted mother. And I'm very worried that throughout this series we are going to skip forward a number of years, and if I have to watch Frieren come to terms with Fern's death, I'm not gonna be okay. It's not gonna be okay. I want nothing to do with it. But I'm worried that the show's gonna go there, and maybe it's just anxiety about it. But yeah, I just don't want it to go there. But I like Fern's character, and I think she'll have even more to offer in the coming episodes.
Mike, who is your waifu of the week and why?
I'm going to go with Hyder. And, I mean, really, without Hyder, we don't really have a show. Like, we do, because Frieren is still the main character, but, like, it seems like the plot, like, the real meat and potatoes of this show will be Frieren treating Fern, like, being the master to Fern as her apprentice. So without Hyder, like, tricking Frieren to take Fern on as the apprentice, we don't really have a show. And he's a corrupt priest.
Fair enough. My pick this week, I'm going to go with Himmel the Hero. We only get to see him through flashbacks, mostly because he passes away in episode 1. And we don't even get to see our journey with him to defeat the Demon Lord, because we skip over that, because that's not important, apparently. But for the brief glimpses we get of Himmel, he seems just like a genuinely good person, and he wants to just help everybody. And I'm really interested to see more of his character. Hopefully we get more of his flashbacks throughout the show here, but I don't know how many we will get. I don't know how many chances I'll get to pick him. So we got a lot of him in episode 1 and some flashback in season 2. Interested to learn more about him, but I'm going to give him my waifu of the week. Thank you all for joining us this week as we watched Frieren Beyond Journey's End. We hope you join us next week for episode 41 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will watch episodes 3 and 4 of Frieren. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. And if you're listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Turtle, do you have anything you would like to plug? Why, yes, Turtle. I would like to plug my YouTube channel, RPG Treasure Trove, where I sit down with a friend and play an RPG game, couch co-op style. Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Yes, Turtle, I do. I would like to plug the Deepman Files podcast, the same thing I plug every single week. Please search out the Deepman Files podcast. We're about to be on our mid-season break, so like you are still in at the ground level with less than 30 episodes, and we'd love to have you give us a listen.
Mike, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, it's the Anime Banter podcast.
Whoa!
Hey, it's what you're listening to right now. The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube.
Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.